Hello, I'm Aditya and I am a software development fellow on the Gradecraft team at AI. I'm majoring in computer science and am a senior graduating soon. I did my summer internship at AI in 2019 and I've been working part-time during each semester since. At AI, my role is to mainly support the development of Gradecraft by fixing bugs and building out new features that our users request. What I hope this presentation will be is a distillation of some of the most important and unexpected lessons that I learned on the job, which I found most valuable. So without further ado, let's get to it. It was when I was 14 years old that I first learned to code. Being able to make a computer do exactly what I wanted seemed magical to me, and it still does sometimes. It was like I had been endowed with special powers and inducted into a group of a secret society of wizards. Growing up, I was repeatedly exposed to this myth of the elusive, lone elite hacker who, from their basement, surrounded by screens and keyboards, could single-handedly bring down governments or create the next big thing. Everywhere I looked, the message was clear. To make a good tech product, you worked alone and depended on yourself. Naturally, this went to my head. When I first started writing my own apps, I obsessively handcrafted them from the ground up, taking pride in reinventing the wheel and writing even the most basic components by myself. Perhaps in any other field, this would make me an artisan, but when it came to writing software, it made me a bad developer. I even tried to force these apps, which were in retrospect embarrassingly bad Instagram and Snapchat clones, on my friends, and I was surprised that they never used it. And it wasn't their fault that they never used it. They couldn't use it. While my apps were technically functional and broadly feature complete, they were a nightmare to actually use for anyone who wasn't me. They were littered with a whole lot of quirks, none of them individually deal-breaking, but when taken together became an incoherent mess. What was worse was that fixing these would be a long and arduous task that would take months because of the organic way my app was written, and so incoherent mess is pretty much where I left it back then. This was probably the first time that I questioned the authenticity of the myth, but my conclusion was that I just needed to know more technically. And that was pretty much how I thought about it as a freshman in college too. It was only the first summer that I worked at AI that I had my eyes opened to how wrong my thinking really had been. The Gradecraft team was the first one that I was part of that was really a team of experts and specialists, each with their own defined role. I realized how much depth there was to each task we performed, from something so outwardly trivial as choosing a font size or picking a color, to writing the text on the label of a button. Each tiny decision each of us made contributed to the betterment of our product. It was also the first time I realized the difference between the jobs of a programmer and a software developer. I realized that as a software developer, doing the job well included not just writing code that worked. The quality of my contributions depended not only on the depth of my technical knowledge, but also on how well I could work with my team and how well I could make decisions with my teammates based on incomplete information. My work with the Gradecraft team really allowed me to entirely reframe in my mind the problem of developing a good software product. I learned to rely on and even expect the expertise of my team when making decisions within my own role. Practically speaking, this would be maybe something as simple as asking someone else on my team for their professional opinion on a technical decision before I committed to it, or it could also be something that was more involved, like drawing up a proposal for the whole team to review. Over the time I worked on the Gradecraft team, I quickly realized that the secret sauce that enabled us to run such a great team was communication. Getting a thing across, especially technical ideas, is hard. Transferring thought involves what computer scientists call lossy compression, so it becomes really important which details to pick and choose. Writing it down is the best solution on every occasion possible. Writing out the goals starting out makes the technical process so much easier and helps you remain focused and not get distracted by some neat technical side quest. It also makes it easier to figure out whether we did what we set out to achieve or not after we do it. I've come across two main types of documentation. The first one is technical documentation, which helps you document design decisions that you made a long time ago, and also personal documentation, which documents your own achievements and struggles over the years. Over the time I've worked at Gradecraft, maintaining this documentation has been a really great way to see how I've progressed and how I've grown. Which brings me to the final lesson, and the thing that motivated me the most was really that working on Gradecraft was so much fun. I really enjoyed the complexity of creating software with real-world considerations for everyone that used it. There was often no right answer, and that enabled me to be creative and work harder with more innovative ideas to solve problems. I also found it really engaging that I got to work on something that would actually benefit other people. Gradecraft was something that they would use every day as opposed to my more academic projects in my courses. But all things said, I think the thing that made it the most fun really was the people I work with. Eric, my mentor, Marissa, Ollie, Sophia, Michael, David, Kate, Ben, and everyone else on the Gradecraft team. Thank you so much for supporting me and making this such a wonderful experience.